This is gonna be the new patch, the new big season patch that's happening here. The new League of Legends patch. So what is happening? So this is happening tomorrow, but we are playing, NLC tomorrow we're playing on the old patch, but I don't know what happens after. Like we're probably going to be playing on this new map, right? By the finals. So we have the new Spirit Blossom map. I think, as always, whenever I does like reshape on the map, people are usually kind of ew, and then you get used to it and you're fine. Season 2 Act 1 Battle Pass. Cool story. Formbound Otacon. So I don't understand why they renamed it. This is something I don't get. Why not just keep the old name, Ruinous Otacon, and just remove Voracious, right? Do we just rename it just for the sake of renaming it? Because it's basically just Ruinous Otacon. So Voracious and Ruinous Otacon replaced with one single form. Cleanse Bloody Petals, which grant 25% increased XP and Adaptive Force. On takedown, blast the area around the target, slowing and damaging any other nearby enemies, as well as granting your team a Spirit Petal. Wait. Really? So wait, if you get a takedown, you actually just get additional flowers, so you could technically farm a lot of flowers if there's a lot of kills in the game. Very interesting. Okay. I mean, basically the TLDR here is that it's basically just Ruinous Otacon but stronger. So you need to have more importance on Otacon. If you're losing and you can't contest Otacon, well, that means the winning team is just going to have an easier time getting a bigger lead, right? And if the game is even and you are able to contest Otacon, then you need to put more emphasis on Otacon. And, you know, yeah, that's just how it goes. But this also, one more thing. This also means that Otacon smiting the objective is important. Because before, if you didn't smite the Otacon, but you got the flowers, it was fine, right? You took a fight, but the enemy team got the Otacon, but you got the flowers. That was fine. Now, smiting the Otacon has even more importance than before. Bounties. No longer pay up to 60% more gold, 300 based upon the calculated lead. Now pays up to 10% of the gold difference on top of the base bounty payment, capped at 1000. Lesser objectives such as outer turrets that have lower base bounty also have lower payouts from the gold lead. Yeah, I hope it's good. I don't fucking know, man. I hope you make it better. I think bounty system right now is in its best state it has ever been. Doesn't mean it's perfect by any means, but let's just hope these changes are actually for the good. Avoid epic monsters. So void grabs are gonna be moved to 8 minutes. So what's gonna happen here is there's gonna be a couple of things that happen with this. Number one, bot lane matchups become more important. Like champions like Kalista and Draven are gonna rise in priority. Lane Kingdom champions are gonna be better. Because this basically means that lane swapping from bot lane to top lane is way less meaningful. And it means that bot lane is a lot more about 2v2 and who wins the lane. And the winning bot lane will be able to secure Joggons because the game is going to move into the direction of Joggon stacking way more than it was. That's what I think. So champions like Draven and Kalista are going to just be hard priority. Even champions like Caitlyn Lux are going to rise in priority this way. And this is going to mean that bot lane, the first 6 to 7 minutes is mostly going to be laning 2v2 in competitive play, right? And in high elo and stuff. And then once you get your first Joggon, you're probably going to look to swap top lane at 8 minutes. So what's going to happen is now bot lane is going to basically automatically swap every game for the grab spawn, no matter what, if you're winning or losing, most likely. And the reason for this is pretty simple. Well, you got the Joggon, right? The Joggon should be dead by 8 minutes most of the time. Grants Hunger the Void, single Void might buff when you kill 3 grabs rather than 4. Now grants Fits credit to whichever team took 2 out of 3 grabs rather than requiring 3 out of 3. Oh, okay. I didn't know that, so that's pretty huge. Interesting. So it's easier to get Feats of Strength with this. Okay. So, okay. Dot from the Touch of Void now deals more damage and stacks 2 and 3. So I really do think that Void Grabs, the most important thing about Void Grabs is not going to be to get all 3 of them. I think it's going to move towards getting 2 of them. So I feel like the most thing you should care about is getting 2 of them. I don't think you care about getting 3. Reef Herald Encounter. Encounter damage should be less avoidable, but the encounter should go faster. Spawns at 15 minutes. Removed Herald Glaze, a single target damage debuff. Target current HP bonus damage up by 16%. Swipe 8 AD ratio down. Fix non-champion attacks, reducing the eyeball cooldown. Summon Path, making quality of life change to increase value consistency. Base turret charge damage increase, but turret charge damage goes down for each tower that it hits. Ooh, okay. So it's going to be stronger charge from the first hit, but after that probably just weaker and weaker. Driving turn speed should be smoother and more responsive, especially early in the driving sequence. So I guess it's even easier to do the Velia play now, maybe? Where you kill a turret and then you drift to another tier 2 on the other side of the map. I'm personally really big dislike. I really dislike the fact that you can just miskick on the Herald so easily, and the fact that this driving mechanic is in the game. What I hate about Herald is that people can just go split push completely in, summon the Herald and then just drift away, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not a big fan of it. When driving, if you crash near an enemy turret without hitting it, the Reef Herald will attempt to perform the non-driven turret charge attack if able. Okay, interesting. That's weird. That basically just makes Herald even easier to execute, right? You drift the Herald, it misses, but then it's gonna charge anyway. Bro, this is just like we're buffing silver players and bronze players like crazy. I swear, like every change Riot makes is just to make bronze players better, like their life easier. It's so crazy. Also think like, I think this is going to make it so it's much harder to tank the Herald when you're starting Herald at minute 15. Which I do think is a good change, because I definitely think that like Herald as an objective is too easy to do, and it requires, it doesn't do any damage. It does no damage. Position binding and role swapping. Detection still requires there to be a jungler in the team. Detection active from 1:30 to 3 minutes in top, 1:30 to 2:15 on mid. Defending champion still receives all golden XP from the lane, receives 50% less damage while under their top lane. Blah 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 blah. Okay, that's cool. So this is like, okay, this is like a bit different now. Basically, it's like lane swapping doesn't work if you have the support item, and the supports are going to have the support item. We're making some small improvements to the death screen to make League's lowest moments slightly less miserable. Player behavior updates, griefing detection. I'm kind of curious to see how well this is going to be, because Riot is hyping it up that this new griefing detection thing is going to completely change, revolutionize the game. There's going to be a lot of soft griefing and more punished and stuff. We'll see how it goes. Alright, and now we move to the changes. So Anne is getting a big bump, we already talked about it. She's getting 30 damage on Q, which is gonna make it so you probably care more about Q points now. And the spell actually has very good damage. Like 240 base damage, very good for a spell. 80% AP ratio, very good on a spell. This spell, it just simply is just a very good damage spell. W also. 20 mana down and already got base damage bump and AP ratio bump. W is another spell that Annie, like Q and W are really good spells on Annie. Yes, they have low range, they don't have insane mana issues anymore because of this W buff, and they just both do insanely well damage. Like, it's just really good damage. Passive magic pen up, nice. Ashe Q buff, 10% attack speed better, but it's only on later ranks. So like if you look at this Ashe buff, what you need to think about is that it's actually nerf early game, because it loses 180 ratio here, and the attack speed is the same. And most Ashe players max W second, so by until like first 7 levels, the spell is actually just nerfed / the same. It's only later. It's only later when this actually matters. Unless Ashe maybe starts maxing Q, maybe this happens. So Gwen is losing a lot here. Base armor nerf, passive clearing nerf, Q damage nerf. Gwen main's complaining. Cassandra's default shop page has been updated. More W damage, kind of placebo buff. I don't think Cassandra's coming back. Kalista is getting preemptive nerf. Kalista mains are kind of sad here. I honestly think this nerf is not the end of the world for Kalista, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it is a nerf after all. Like the 80 growth, the fact that she's getting 0.780 per level is pretty big. But yeah, she's getting nerfed. Like her strongest part is getting nerfed, which is early game. Loana is getting cool buffs. 1 second more on passive duration, so it's like easier to sync up spells and stuff. Q also less mana cost. E, less mana cost, so she doesn't go as much randomly in fights. I think these are really good buffs for Loana. I mean, I already said this before. Morgana, also really good buffs. Like, her shield will not be broken as easily, which already it is very weak. And her R is going to be a lot more consistent and do more damage. There's actually a Morgana player in EU West, Morgana jungle player, that only plays Morgana jungle, and he's challenger. He does really well on it. The thing about Morgana jungle is that people are not used to it, and people just, like, she can actually one-shot you very easily in, like, one item and stuff. She actually does so much more damage than people might think. And she also clears jungle really well, right? And she has good objective control, especially at, like, drops. You can perma W. So these are actually also good Morgana jungle buffs. Nafiri, maybe people bring it back against Vi in competitive. Nafiri, 26 seconds cooldown on W ability. Spell she maxes last. And E losing some damage. Bro, this Nafiri W spell is like some crazy cooldown. 26 seconds. You use it once, you won't see the spell. Like, this is only once per team fight now. This is huge. I mean, I really do wonder if this is the best way to nerf Nafiri. Like, I do think she needs nerfs, but like, shouldn't we nerf just her damage maybe? Or maybe like her tankiness? Like, shouldn't we just make her squishier? And not make it so much about like that she only casts W once every 26 seconds. The Orianna buff, not too bad. It's pretty small at the end of the day, but it is a buff. Rengar, okay. Shen. So I kind of baffled that this Shen buff went through. Everybody knows the champion is gonna be OP. Next patch, I think Shen will be basically like S tier top laner. He will just be one of the best champs in the game next patch. Just how it is. It's just like really weird they went through with this buff. Yorick. Pinged abilities. Maybe R, Feast, and Q consume. Maybe ping to display the total damage to monsters when off cooldown. Okay. Cho'Gath and Nunu can now ping their abilities. That's kinda cool. Boots of Sweetness. 5 MS down. I definitely think this is a big hit to Boots of Sweetness. Boots of Sweetness, because like the thing about boots is that boots are just not good in League. Like, majority of tier 2 boots are a scam. That's why Sweetness boots are really good, but now that they give only 55 MS, and other tier 2 boots give what? How much do other tier 2 boots give? Don't they give like... What did they give? They give like 45, right? So it's like you're getting 10 MS more than other boots. I just don't think Boots of Sweetness are going to be that good anymore. I think majority of champions are going to swap to either Symbiotic Souls, which I think are still going to be playable, or just Mercs. I think majority, like for mid lane specific, I think majority of champions are just going to move back to Mercs, which is sad. I think the game is better when Sweetness Boots meta is than Mercs meta, but... Like, Sorks are still bad. Lucidities are still pretty bad. The only time you're gonna consider buying Sorks or Lucidity is when you play a specific champ like a Azir or a Radiant Soul, or when you get the tier 3 upgrades, when you get Feats of Strength when you're winning. Then Lucidity and Sorks might be more excusable. Sorry. So, Symbiotic Souls no longer grants a power recall, but now grants them out of combat movement speed. I actually think these boots are still going to be viable. The more I thought about it, the more I think it's actually going to be viable, especially when you're winning. Because sure, they're not going to bail you out of lane as much anymore, but the reality is that these boots are still kind of good because they're cheap. And once they stack up, they're just as good, if not... Yeah, they're just as good, basically. So, I actually kind of have a feeling this might still be playable. Like, think about it, right? Let's say I'm playing Zilan mid. Am I really not buying Symbiotic Souls? What other boots would I buy other than Symbiotic Souls and Zilan? I think I'm still buying Symbiotic Souls. I don't think anything changes. Roa. I think this is sad because I think Riot is just nerfing the item in the wrong way. They should nerf Catalyst, or they should nerf the Roa passive. You know that passive they buffed where somebody hits you or you cast a spell and you get HP or mana? That passive should just be reverted. Because they buffed it like last patch, remember that? They should either revert that passive back to the old number before the Roa got buffed, or they should just make Catalyst of Eons, the component that builds into Roa, weaker. This is like the whole problem. Why are we nerfing this item, bro? The whole point of Roa, in my mind, the whole point of the identity of this item is that you are weak until it stacks. So why are we making it worse that way? You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be making it worse. Like, Roa's power should be that it's a stat check item when it stacks up, but we're just making it less of a stat check item. I know Roa nerfs here are bigger early than late, but it's still a nerf to the item. I just don't like... So for example, you know what they could do? They could make it that it has less stats early, but then you get more per level. So then at level, once it's 10 stacks, it's equal / better. They could make that type of change, but this is just a straight up nerf, which I just don't understand. I just think it's so wrong. So okay, tier 3 upgrades, so 250 gold, all of them cheaper. Spell Slinger Shoes 1% down, and Swift March 5 ms less. No longer grants 4% increased total movement speed, but now grants adaptive force equal to 5% of total movement speed. So how much adaptive force are you getting here on average? Can we do some math? Like, well, let's say you have, I don't know, 430. Like 5% of 430 would be 21. 21 adaptive force. That's 20 AP. Roughly, I guess. So you get 20 AP or like what? Like 12 AD, roughly? It's something like that is the math. Is this going to be worth buying? I mean, it's probably going to be good for Hecarim, right? Like Hecarim is going to love these boots. This is probably going to be even better for Jean. Sure, I can see that. But is this worth buying on a Syndra? You get 20 AP. I mean, I would say yes. Probably. 20 AP is still 400 gold. I do think this is probably still worth buying. Yeah, this seems fine. Now that I think about it. I mean, like, okay, not like the more I think about it, the more I think, like, am I the only one thinking that all tier 3 upgrades are just looking very OP now? Like, only 500 gold? Like, to me, it just seems like it's going to be OP. Because before they were kind of trash, but I think this is a massive buff. Basically, maybe I shouldn't say OP, but they're definitely going to be worth upgrading the way I see it. And I think this is probably actually going to increase some snowballiness in the game. Summoner spells Ignite. So okay, they went through with the buffs. Ignite is better from level 7 onwards, which does not buff support as much as it does on Soul Lane. There are some champions that do play Ignite, but I still think competitively wise, majority of champions are going to stay on the TP. But occasionally when you play in Fearless, you play on Akshan, or you play on Zoe, or you play Rumble top lane, or you play Yasuo perhaps, or something like that, you have way more reason to go Ignite. One thing I like about Ignite buff, although I don't generally like it, but it is a Yasuo buff, I guess. Like, there are champions that kind of do rely on Ignite that get the buff here. Even Zat here is kind of happy, right? Biscuits. So basically, the way this map works out is just going to be just as good early. But I think once you have 1000 HP or more, it's a nerf. And most champions reach 1000 HP around level 4 to 5, I'm assuming. So, it depends when you base, right? If you base level 3 and you buy another HP component or level 4, then you're definitely at 1000 HP on majority of these bruiser champions. So, it is just going to be a nerf the moment you basically get your first or second base off. Mages might be a little bit weaker in terms of HP, so for mages it's still okay, I guess. And on ADCs, I guess, as well. Although a lot of ADCs buy Dorn item and they have high HP base level 1. Like Kaisar, Twitch. Unflinching. Most likely an OP rune. But the question is just... The problem with Unflinching is it's very hard to recognize when it's a good rune. This is a conditional rune. And let me tell you, 99% of League player base will not understand when to take this rune. This is why I think it's a good thing to just rework the rune. It would be better to have a rune that is just generic, that most people can understand the rune better at. Aram. Are they doing anything important on Aram? They're buffing Jhin on Aram. There's no way Jhin needs a buff. Oh my god, Veigar buff. I don't know why I'm reading Aram. Nerf Soraka. What? Rotating game modes and arena changes. Okay, cool. Not watching that. Prestige Spirit Blossom Lux. Cool. Okay, bug fixes. The setting to change relative team colors have been restricted to minions only. Fix an issue where the Yana Q distance could be slightly affected by flashing. I saw that bug. Fix an issue. I don't see anything important. No, there's nothing important. The cool Spirit Blossom skins are coming out. The whack pool party Twitch that no one's gonna buy. So wait, people are saying I should read the bounty changes again? So this, right? Is this? Base skill gold now scales up by 10 gold per level from level 7 to 18. Maximum at 420 gold. Positive bounty accrued from kills and assists have been increased by 17%. Positive bounty accrued from farming has been increased by 14%. Not really sure what this means exactly, but this change is kind of important in a way. I'm not sure if I like it a lot. I think inting is kind of cool in League. Like, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like mid to late game, inting to stop enemy tempo and getting something on the other side of the map should just be a viable strategy. This just basically means that just playing for your KDA is more rewarded, pretty much. Which I don't know if I like it too much. But at the same time, I also see why this could be a good thing. The reason why this could be a good thing is because there's a lot of like meaningless fights that happen mid to late game where people are fighting over air, there's no objective up, you win the fight, you kill all of them, but you can't push any tower and the only thing you can do is to just base. There's no camps up, there's nothing. So in that sense, at least it punishes people to not take as random fights anymore in a way, right? But at the same time, this can also be seen good for a losing team, this can also be seen good for a winning team. But honestly, this usually just kind of buffs the losing team more so than the winning team, in my opinion. But then again, like, sure, okay. It's a fine change, I guess. That's the patch. There's not really much to talk about. It's a pretty small patch. Yeah. Alright, chat. It's time to call it a day. I'm like almost 8 hours into stream. I'm going off here. See you guys tomorrow for the official match versus North. Make sure to be here. I'm obviously going to be live earlier, playing some solo queue and stuff. At 6 p.m. we're facing North. Best of 3. It's very important. If we win tomorrow, we secure a spot in Denmark, right, where the finals is, Copenhagen. Yeah, so it's a must win. It's a must win. We cannot lose tomorrow. So see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye bye. Bye Twitch chat. Bye YouTube chat. Bye bye. Bye.